Welcome to FCNYC. My name is Ben Chan. I'm here with Dominic Morrow, and it is time to wrap up 2011 and talk about the year in mixed martial arts. We're going to start by talking about the fights of the year. Dominic, you have three fights, two of which involve the same guys.
Yeah, so right off the bat, Frankie Edgar, Gray Maynard put on two of the best fights of the year. It's like 40 minutes of back and forth action. These two lightweights, hell of a fight. Both of them feature Frankie Edgar almost getting knocked out in the first round, only for him to battle back into the fight. In Edgar versus Maynard 2, rather. I'm sorry, this is the second and third time they fought. In the first one this year, which was Edgar Maynard 2, Edgar manages to fight his way back to a draw. Bad taste in everybody's mouth. Edgar Maynard 3, Edgar manages to knock out Maynard in the fourth round. Just hell of a punch, hell of a fight. Both fights are fantastic. Watch them both. And your third fight of the year is one that happened 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Recent Shogun versus Henderson. Fantastic war. Everybody loves seeing Henderson land that big right hand over and over again. Usually people pass out, but Shogun's got a chin. Who knew? Shogun's got heart. He just kept getting punched in the face for the full fight until Henderson gasses out towards the end of the fight. But it's still the first 4 rounds are just fantastic action. Just a war, real slugfest. One of the best fights ever. Gotta be. And then next up we have Fighter of the Year. You have two guys, and one of the guys is still active and is going to be fighting later on this year. Yeah, Donald Cerrone he's just been on a tear through the lightweight division ever since he came over from the WEC. He's fought 4 times this year, and he's fighting again in a couple of weeks. Kind of no regard for training or taking time off. He seems like he's always fighting. He could go 5-0 if he manages to beat Nate Diaz in a couple of weeks. And if he does, there's no way he's not at the top of the lightweight division. To go from WEC also ran to guy in contention for one of the most stacked divisions in the UFC. That's really crazy to do in just 12 months. And as for the other Fighter of the Year, I don't think there's any real serious question. Jon Jones. He went from prospect to invincible God King of the 205-pound division. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's insane. He just walks through everybody. I mean, Lyoto Machida did okay for like 5 minutes. Probably won the first round, but Jon Jones is no longer a prospect. He's a monster, and it's going to be real fun to see what he does in 2012. And not only is he Fighter of the Year, he's also fights crime, evidently, before he fights in the UFC. Yeah, Fighter of the Year on the streets, Fighter of the Year in the octagon. The guy, what do you want? He's just hilarious. And now let's talk about the upset of the year. Your upset of the year involves an MMA veteran. Yeah. Tito Ortiz managing to reclaim some of his former glory against Ryan Bader. You got to feel for Ryan Bader in that fight. He's heavily favored. Tito Ortiz is old and washed up, and Bader really needs a win because Jon Jones just walked through him to start out 2011, and Ortiz staggers him. Ortiz submits Bader. It's just this crazy. I mean, it's the first win for Ortiz over somebody not named Ken Shamrock in years, 5-6 years, something like that. And Bader is the GOAT. And Ortiz is, it's good to see him get a little moment in the sun. Crazy upset. The other crazy upset of the year, close runner-up, Melvin Guillard versus Joe Lauzon. Guillard also on a tear through the lightweight division, knocks people out, just vicious knockouts. And Joe Lauzon, this grappler who hangs out on Reddit, social networking site for nerds, or social news site for nerds, knocks him out. Submits him, knocks him down, submits him. It was just, did not see that one coming. Good for Joe Lauzon. Melvin Guillard, inconsolable afterwards, but crazy upsets. And then next we have the worst fight of 2011. And I thought this was a fascinating pick because, when you think about worst fight, you think of boring fights. And this fight actually had action, and there was a knockout. It was. I'm going to go with Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos. It wasn't a bad fight. Not a terrible fight by any stretch of the imagination. I've seen way worse fights. Jake Shields laying on Dan Henderson for 5 rounds. Five rounds, terrible. Jake Shields laying on Mayhem Miller for 5 rounds. I mean, I've seen Jake Shields lie on a lot of dudes, is what I'm saying. But I think Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos, they were the inaugural fight on UFC on Fox. They were hyped up for 40 minutes before the UFC, or before Fox even showed anything, any action. And then the fight's over in 1 minute. It's like 56 seconds of feinting, and then 1 punch, and then a little bit of ground and pound. If that had been on any other card, the way other fights, there's like 12 fights last weekend. Any other card, that's fine. It's just another quick heavyweight fight. Those guys are big, they're strong, they knock each other out. But this was 1 hour of TV, and they showed 56 seconds of fighting. It was just really anticlimactic for the whole evening. So I think that's the most anticlimactic fight of the year. Really, really terrible.
And with that wraps up our wrap-up of 2011. It's been a pretty good year for mixed martial arts. Been a pretty good year for FCNYC. I want to thank you for watching. I want to welcome Dominic to the show, and thank you. And thank you for watching, and happy holidays. All right.